What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about Ethereum Inc., ticker symbol ATER. This stock has seen some incredibly insane action lately. If you take a look at the chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, just yesterday, I made a video on this stock saying that there was an incoming explosion, essentially, because we had been rising over the past while. And that meant that shorts were likely going to be getting squeezed sometime soon. Now, you can see we did have a massive explosion in the stock price. However, that has been just annihilated in early morning and pre-market trading right here. So if you actually take a look at a smaller time frame, you can see just what happened. As soon as we started breaking out past this $15.50 resistance level around here, where we had been hitting earlier in the day, we broke out of it. And that's really what triggered a lot of these shorts to end up covering their positions and led to a huge boost in stock price. Now, what ended up happening throughout the rest of the day was we kind of faded away a bit and started the next day around the same price until we started taking a massive dip. And we're now down about 22% from where we closed yesterday. All in all, it's not the biggest dip considering that most of the day we were trading around 14. Now we're trading around, the high 12s. So it's really not the biggest dip, all things considered, because we did just have a massive rally into the end of the day, leading to a very high closing price. However, that doesn't mean that a lot of traders probably aren't hurting, because maybe some of them were buying near the end of the day when they saw this thing was going up. Because if you actually look at the 30-day time frame, you can see that it looked fairly bullish. It looked like we may have been having a massive burst of momentum that could have broken us out past 20. Now, obviously, that wasn't the case. We ended up getting bounced back at a slightly lower high than we had previously, which was actually around $20 right here. So this is all in all not the most bullish pattern that I'm seeing for ATR. It doesn't mean that the squeeze is over. However, there are some things that would indicate to me that the squeeze might be coming to an end, if they end up happening, and also some things that could be very bullish for ATR. So first of all, I think that what's important to note with ATR is that what happened yesterday causing the short squeeze was, you can see it on Ortex right here, this yellow line laid over the price was actually a bunch of shorts covering. You can see the yellow line right here definitely decreased. There were a bunch more, fewer shorts who were in it at the end of the day than who were in it at the beginning of the day. A lot of shorts had to cover their position, likely as they saw it was breaking this $15.50 resistance level, and they wanted to get out because, and that may have been a good choice for them, because who knows when they would have been forced to close their position if they ended up staying in and closing it around closer to $18. But a lot of shorts were closing, and that led to a lot of momentum, leading this stock up and up and up. However, now we have more shorts coming in, and that's actually pushing us down, but it can't be everything that's pushing us down, because this is a very small change in the short interest. It's only an increase of 3%, which isn't the largest amount capital-wise. And that couldn't be responsible alone for this massive downturn in the stock price, because we're looking at minus 23% stock price-wise. So that, obviously alone, the shorts couldn't just be pushing this thing down. A lot of people, I suspect, are taking profits, and especially when we opened the day around this level, around 14 something, where we were trading most of the day yesterday. When we ended up opening the day around there, I think a lot of people saw that as an opportunity to take some profits, because we had a big push upwards. And when that push got rejected, people became very fearful. Now, honestly, if I'm looking at this, it does look a little bit like it may have been manipulated. If you actually look back over the past 10 days, you can see we saw a very similar thing last time we were hitting 20. And I'm not saying that it's all manipulation, but obviously people are trying to push this thing in a certain direction and make it look a certain way, with the intent of making others trade based off of how they want. So what I mean by that is that when you saw this last big pump up to $20, we ended up getting rejected at 20 because we bounced off of it twice and then just faded away in the pre-market trading. Now, I typically don't trade in pre-market, and I suspect most retail traders, like you guys, if you're watching this video, you probably don't trade that much during pre-market, especially, if it's before the pre-market that brokerages like Robinhood allow, right? Robinhood lets you start trading at 9 instead of 9:30 when the actual market opens. But all of this is happening, this is 4:30, 5, 6. So there's a bunch of people trading this stock, and mostly institutions really, before the markets even open for most retail traders. And I suspect that most of them probably want this stock to be more bearish than bullish, right? They're probably, if you look at Ortex, more heavily shorting it than they are taking long positions. They have a 55% short interest as a percentage of the free float. Obviously, that includes some retail as well, but my guess is not much. I think that mostly institutions are shorting this thing. And so the pre-market and after hours actually offer them a great time to kind of push the stock in a certain direction and give people an idea of where the stock might be going for the day, and cause people actually to kind of fulfill that prophecy, right? It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy when they start pushing the stock down in pre-market trading after we've had a big run up. That leads people to believe, and rightly so, that the next day might be bearish for the stock, which actually ends up coming true, and we end up fading away. And the same thing happened just today when we were up, around $18, and then in the pre-market ended up getting pushed down and down and down, likely by institutions who were shorting this thing until we saw a massive crash on the day. Now, that doesn't mean that the crash is going to sustain itself. Obviously, there have been times in the past when this stock has pumped up and we haven't had that pattern. If you look at a slightly longer time frame, sometimes in the pre-market, institutions aren't able to do it. That still led to a crash in this situation. But today, we might see another kind of pattern where we have been moving down in the pre-market and we end up bouncing back, as it looks like we may be doing right now. However, this is kind of a normal recursion, right? We might be just bouncing up a little bit before continuing a downward trend. Now, 20% is a significant amount to have moved down in a single day. So I don't know if we'll really be moving that much further in any direction. We really might just stagnate here for a little bit because this stock is very popular and has seen a lot of action. There are a lot of buyers for it, and there are also a lot of sellers. Once again, looking at the short interest, there are a lot of people who have sold this stock. Even today, there's a significant amount of people selling this stock, up 3%. So, there are people on both sides of this thing. We're really going to have to see where it lands. But what I would actually start to worry about is if this stock breaks $10, because we seem very far from it now, right? We're at $13.42. However, we are down just $3 or over $3 just today. So another $3 dip, and we'd be very close to $10. And, we have broken it in the past, but we haven't actually remained below $10 for even an entire day, right? It's only ever been part of a day that we've been below $10, where we've always come back up and not necessarily ended the day above $10, but at least ended it very close and spent most of each day above 10. So I do think that 10 is a very important level for the stock. You can actually look back and see it's where our previous high was before we ended up pumping up to 20. And we have had some significant sources of resistance and support at 10. I think that if we end up breaking below, that could be very bearish for this stock. And that's really when I would kind of lose faith. And if we stay down below 10 for a significant period of time, that's when I would start looking at this stock as a kind of a dud, right? I would think that maybe we could have a couple more dead cat bounces. But after that, I don't think there's much left in us, because I think at that point, shorts would have gained too much control and they would be too far in the money to actually fear any kind of short squeeze, and the stock would have to rise far too much to actually trigger any short selling. And that if it was going to rise that much, then whoever was pushing the stock up at that point would probably have already done it, right? It would have been much easier to do at a point when we're at $20 or $18 than at a point where we're below 10. So that's just my opinion on it. I think that it could be very bad breaking below 10. I'm not sure if we will. We are still, a decent amount away from it, but we have seen extreme negative momentum today, right? We've been moving down and down and down, just getting pushed down. And obviously, if we continued like this for the rest of the day, then it would not be long before we've broken below 10. However, I do think that, since we've seen such a massive move downwards, that can result in some additional volume being put into the stock, because we were on a very good bullish pattern before that happened, right? We were actually on our way to making new highs, at least in the short term. And I do think that there is the potential that some traders will be coming in looking at this as a discount, as maybe a flash sale that they can be getting this stock on, and potentially be pushing us back up over the next couple of days. We'll just have to wait and see where we level out, if there are any significant levels of support or resistance that we find ourselves at, and analyze the situation from then onwards. But that's what I have for you guys today on ATER stock. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.